Good evening and welcome to another episode of Andy's Shed Live. This is series 12, episode number 15 for Sunday, the 30th of April 2023. Hello there everybody and welcome to the show. It is Sunday and welcome back from our break that we've been on for the last few weeks, and yeah, we're here. It is well, what we had a couple of weeks off, haven't we? A couple of weeks off, and all sorts has been happening in that couple of weeks we've had off. I've just realised I've not got the chat on screen. Just bear with me a second. I've just got to go and get my phone so I can get the chat up on the screen. 1 second. I knew there'd be something that I'd get wrong. I knew it. See, I'm off for a couple of weeks, and it all goes to pot. And when you're off for a couple of weeks, doesn't it? It all suddenly goes wrong. But yeah, we'll be with you in just a moment. We'll have it right in 2 shakes of a lamb's what's it. And any minute now, that should zap me a message there. Yes, silly 2-factor authentication. I absolutely hate it. Hate it, loathe it, and despise it. 2-factor authentication. Well, there you go. Right. Let's have a little look, shall we? Right, if I can grab that code there. I'll be with you in a minute, honestly. And copy that. And we have to put that into there, like so. And then hopefully that'll appear on there. And it doesn't. Why does it not appear? I know why it doesn't appear. That's it. It appears now. So there's the chat. Took a while, but we got there in the end. So there's a chat, and I will say hello to everybody who is in it. That is Christopher 2000, Wesley Pagden, Dominic's here, Fat Hobbit's here, and Keith is here as well. Remember, if you want to join us in the YouTube chat, you can. We are live on YouTube, 6:30 every Sunday, at least every Sunday that we're on. So if you want to head on over there, you can. If you're watching after the event, look for us 6:30 next Sunday. Right, we will crack on then, shall we? Because there's a long way to go today, and that all sorts has been happening while we've been away. More than 40 telephones have arrived. More than 40 vintage telephones have arrived here in the last month. First, from South London came a batch of 20, which you will have briefly seen, and then from out in Essex came another 23, was it? I think it was 23, and one's come in the post as well. And the one that has got it in the post is one that we are going to have a look at now, because it's on my desk, basically, and that is this one. Ta-da! Now, this is a bit of an unusual thing. This is not at all what it looks like. It looks like a GPO 706 phone, doesn't it? But those of you in the know will know it's not a GPO version of the phone, because it's just got a numbered dial bezel, and that didn't happen with the GPO. Then you might notice the dial is a bit strange. Now the finger wheel is missing off the dial here, but if you know anything about GPO phones with the finger wheel missing, they don't look like that. Then we'll take the handset off the hook, and look, we've got metal hook switch plungers, and they're round, not sort of squarish. And if that wasn't strange enough, we'll go around the back, and in the back of it here you'll see two screws that actually hold the case on. So what is this? What is this strange beast that's arrived? Well, it's got absolutely nothing to do with the GPO. In fact, it's a telephone that may be better than any that the GPO made. A lot of people think this phone is better than a GPO phone. Yeah, anybody got any idea what it is? Dominic's got it. He says that looks like a Pi German dial. It is indeed, Dominic, because this is a Pi 1806, as Miguel has also got, because I know for a fact he's got one, because he's made a video about it. But yeah, this is a Pi 1806. This is either the second or the third one that I've come across. They're quite rare, and they always seem to arrive here in bits. I've never managed to get quite a complete one, and this one's got the finger wheel missing as well. So what I need to do is find them all out and find out what's missing from all of them. But I think finger wheel being missing is a common thing, and I believe, and Miguel might be able to tell me different to this, I believe it's a unique finger wheel, because the way it connects to it is different. There's a kind of raised rectangular piece with a screw in the middle of it, in the middle there. So I believe the back of the finger wheel has got to be shaped to fit over that, but please tell me if I'm wrong. So I believe it's a bit of a weirdie, and you'll see from that the dial bezel is also not in great condition on this. It is an original dial bezel painted on the back, but a lot of the paint has gone from it, so it's not in brilliant nick, but the rest of the phone seems okay. Right, what are people saying about it all? Wesley says he's watching this on his new telly. So far, so good. Ooh, what TV have you got, Wesley? It must be a smart TV that you're watching on. Hoping it's not a Samsung one, because I've got a Samsung one and it's rubbish. Dominic says, two-factor authentication is a pain when they force it on you. Too true, Dominic. It is. And Christopher says, did you get the photo of the trams on that I sent? I have, Christopher. I've not had a chance to sort of look at it yet, other than briefly on my phone, because it only arrived about half an hour before I've come on air. But yeah, I have had a little look at the video, and we'll try and get it on here next week. So yeah, it has arrived. So if any of you are interested in the Melbourne trams, and particularly the filming location of the movie Malcolm, we've got a little video for Christopher that we'll stick on next week, because I have to convert it and things to get it into the system here. Wesley says his TV is a smart TV. He's never had one before. Yeah, they're not actually that smart, Wesley. When you get to know them, those TVs, they're not a well-named thing. What sort is it that you've got? What manufacturer is it? He's going to say Samsung. I just know he's going to say Samsung. We'll find out momentarily. But back to the telephone. So we're looking for a finger wheel for this, and I'm thinking the answer may be to 3D print one. Oh, he's not saying Samsung. He's saying Toshiba. Oh, they may be better than the Samsung ones. I've got a Samsung one here, Wesley, and it's absolutely hopeless. It freezes up and resets itself and turns itself off, and sometimes turns itself on when you're not expecting it. It's an absolute law unto itself. Michael T has joined the chat. Hello, Michael. Nice to see you again. Miguel says, I think you're right. The dial made to the Siemens Hawk by a similar German firm. Same dial as on the autophone, but not the same number plate. Right. I wonder why these always seem to come with the finger wheel missing. It's odd, that is. Yeah, I wonder why they do always arrive with the finger wheel missing. I think I may have got one that's got the finger wheel on. But these dials are weird. It's not fitted properly, this one either. You can see I can move it about. But if you want to see more of what it is, then I happen to have a couple more of these dials that I got some time ago. If I can get the right camera, there we go. Here's a couple more of these oddball dials. Now on the telephone's website, it is the sort of go-to UK website for telephone stuff, it says that brown and green version, grey and green rather, versions of these have been noticed, although they look brown of course because they age. So it says grey and green versions of these are seen. I have however got an ivory one, but it's up in the loft at the minute and I've not had a chance to get it down for reasons that will be revealed later. But here are a couple more of these dials. Now when they're working, these dials are very good when they're working. However, they do seize up quite badly. I might have to put a light on actually because it's suddenly going dark here. I don't know if we're going to have a storm or something. There we go. Let the camera settle down. There we go. That's better. So here's a couple more of the same dial variant. And as others have quite rightly said, these are actually German dials that were fitted. They're not dissimilar to the dials you find in some Ericsson phones, and the way they work, which is quite a lot different to a standard UK dial, you know, like a dial 21 or a dial 12. The way they work is quite different as well. It's more akin to the American 500 series dials. But basically there is a massive stack of things here that when you turn the dial, all this stack of things moves. If I can sort of wind this dial up, I can dial in a number and then let it go, you'll see it all move. This big stack of stuff here, and that is doing all kinds of things. There's a clutch inside that stack. There are shaped disc things as well that open and close this pile of contacts here, you see. So it's quite complicated, and what happens is this stack of all different components seizes up, and if that stack seizes up, you've got a devil of a job to unseize it. It is possible, but it's not easy. So if you've got dials that work, and this one does appear to, you see, if you've got ones that work, you're doing well. And does this other one work as well? Now what I do like about these dials is I very much like the fact that they've got the kind of finger plate thing built into the front of them, so you can tell what colour phone they're supposed to be off. So that's obviously a green one, that's obviously a grey one. As I say, I have got an ivory one on a phone as well. So that is what they are. But again, I've got two dials here, you see, without finger wheels on them. So I do need a finger wheel. So if anybody's got one that's got the finger wheel on it, if you could send me some photos of the finger wheel, I would be very grateful. And if you can put a little ruler or something in the photo so I can get an idea of size as well. My plan is that I'm going to try and 3D print a finger wheel to fit these, and see if I can use my 3D printer over here to 3D print a finger wheel, because I say these two dials came up on eBay, and when you know what they are, that these are immediately noticeable. You know, immediately obvious when you know what you're looking for. What these are, you see these and you know what sort of dial they are immediately when you see that. So I snaffled them, not for a lot of money. I think maybe they were £10 or £20 or something like that. And very, very rare dials, and both working. So that is extremely unusual. Right, how are we getting on? Yeah, it says the dial sends out one extra pulse to get up to full speed. Yeah, I believe it does, and I think it also masks that first pulse though, doesn't it? Talking about smart TVs, Dominic says, I have a stupid TV somewhere, an 80 sharp set somewhere in the attic. He says, I wish I had a TV that could make tea. Yeah, so do I. Yeah, I think you need to be on the Starship Enterprise for something like that. Earl Grey, hot. Yeah, but, yeah. Wish I had a TV that could make tea. It'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? Right, so that is what we've got in the world of telephones so far. Now, is it time to introduce our new member of the Andy Shed Life team? We have a new member of the team who is sort of in the background tonight. Oi, Are you wanting to be introduced? Hey, Thor. Do you want to be introduced? Hey, come here. Good boy. There is a new member of the team here. And I'll get him to say hello in a minute. I will need my magic camera, because he's... Wait, you're not shy, are you? He's disappeared. Where's he gone? He's done a bunk. Hopefully he'll be here in a minute. So, Thor, you come and say hello. So here is our new team member. So Thor, here is our new team member. Come on then. Thor, come and say hello. Come on then. Right, this is Thor, who's off. Wait, Thor, come here. Thor. Wait, Thor. He's disappeared. He's done a total bunk. He obviously doesn't want to be on camera. We'll go and find him. We'll go and find him. Here he is. Hello, Thor. This is Thor. Thor is a Rotty German Shepherd cross, and Thor used to be a dog walking client of mine, but his owner had 2 dogs, and she decided she couldn't entirely cope with 2 dogs. So Thor is here for a few days to see if he'd like to come and live with me, aren't you, Thor? And he's all right so far, aren't you? You all right? Do you want to go outside? Do you want to go outside? Eh? Do you want to go out? He does. He wants to go outside, look. So we'll let him go outside for a minute. The sun is shining out here tonight. It is just going down over the houses there. Sunset. But while Thor's out here, it's a good opportunity for me to take you in here and show you something else I've been working on. Stationary engine rallies are coming back big style this year. We've already been to a couple. We should have been at another one this weekend, but because Thor is in settling in mode, I didn't go. But I'm getting a new engine ready to go out to a rally. Well, a new, to me, engine ready to go out to a rally. And it needs its magneto looking at. So today, I've been trying to get a spark out of this Wyco Model A magneto. And I have got a spark out of it, but it is only a small spark that I've got out of it. But I have managed to get a spark from it, so that's what I'm working on the bench. We've also got the garden going. We've got the plants growing here. We've got foot-long peppers. We've got tomato plants, and I've actually took some of those out of that tray already. And we have got other peppers there, sort of bell peppers as well. So stuff is happening up the garden in the greenhouse. So that's all coming together as well at the moment. So, yeah, we are turning out quite busy. Where's my friend? Oh, he's here. Here he is, look. Hello, Thor. Who's a good boy? Hey, who's a good boy? Yeah, you're a good lad, aren't you? Hey, you're a good lad. You are. Good boy. Good boy. So, it looks like Thor is joining the team, because anybody who has ever sort of taken in a dog on a temporary basis and said, I'll take them in while they find a new home,
knows damn well that they never end up leaving again. So, so it looks like Thor will be staying, won't you, mate? Hey, you good boy, Thor? You good lad? You are a good boy, aren't you? Yeah, you are a good boy. Are you coming in again then? You coming in? Good boy. Come on then. Right. So that's Thor, who will no doubt be putting in the occasional appearance as we go through the weeks, months, and maybe even years to come. Just trying to get myself manoeuvred into the right position here. It's not easy. Are you all right, Thor? Good lad. Good lad. He's standing in there now, looking at me. Look. We can see you, even though you're black. We can still see you. Come here then. Here he is. Good boy. Good boy. Oh, you are a good dog, aren't you? You are a good dog. Yes. Good boy, Thor. Say hello. No, he's a bit camera shy. Yes, he's a bit camera shy. So, that is Thor. Right, turn that camera off now. Of course, you're back on here. Yeah, that's switched off. Cool. Right. I need to teach him to do the mail and stuff, and like read the mail and things like that. Could you do the emails and things, Thor? Do all the replies and stuff. If you have emailed me, by the way, over the last couple of weeks and you've not had a reply yet, I'm terribly sorry. I just had like a couple of weeks more or less completely off, so I will get back on top of it again very, very soon. Oh, he's here now. Hello. Hello. You alright? What do you want? Eh? What do you want? You okay? Good boy. Right. What is everybody up to in the chat? Miguel says he's lovely. Fat Hobbit says loving the dog. Ah, says Dominic. Dominic says, I seem to recall you have a petter engine. I've got various petter engines, Dominic. Yeah, they're all sort of lurking about here. But that is actually off a Coborn engine, which is a similar sort of thing. It's just a different manufacturer. And I've had this engine in the garage here for literally for years and years and years. And there's a chap called Martin that does some of the rallies with me. And every time he sees me, he says, you ought to get that Coborn engine going, because he's got one as well. And he says, you ought to get that Coborn engine going every single time he sees me. And he said before the pandemic, you ought to get that Coborn engine going. And after the pandemic, 2 or 3 years later, he's still saying it, and I've still not done it. So I'm actually making a start on getting it going now for him. Said that again, Christopher. It's come out a bit jumbled up at this end. Right. So yes. So, do you want to have a look inside this weird telephone? As I say, Miguel, if you follow his YouTube channel, has done a video on these, and he kind of shows you one of these phones in bits. And does a very good explanation actually of the innards and that of it. But I'll show you inside this one, which is, as far as I can tell, it's exactly the same as his one. But we'll have a look. Now the key to this is you don't have to take these screws right out on the back. You only have to loosen them, sort of 3 or 4 turns, for reasons that will become apparent when I take the top off. Do not undo those. I mean, normally those screws there are the way of releasing the case off a 706. Not in this case though. It's these two screws at the back, and you just lift like that. And then it just lifts off like so. And there it is, and you can see this strange hook switch arrangement, and those two screws in the top there and there actually hold this this sort of creamy yellowy piece of plastic in, and that's what holds the metal plungers. Now I've got another one of these phones that is missing at least one of these metal plungers, so at least now I've got one with two plungers in it. As far as I know, the actual casing is a standard 706 case, as far as I know, and the dial bezel is fitted with the standard metal fitting ring on the inside as well. There is a paster label, which is definitely not standard. If you want to get a bit of a look at it, it's a bit difficult to get it on the camera, but there it is. There's the paster that's inside it. So, but the main thing is the phone itself is very strange on the inside. As you can see, it wires exactly the same way as a GPO 706, so the wiring to convert it for plug and socket is the same. Now my Getz hasn't got a I just don't think it's got a regulator board in it. This one has, but there's absolutely nothing on it, as you can see. It's just a blank board that fits in. And it goes in the normal slot there. Capacitor is normal, bells are normal, but the bell coil is most definitely not normal. It's a single coil. It's this sort of orangey brown coil here. That is what drives the bell mechanism, and you can adjust it for loudness by turning a screw on the back here. If I can turn this around, you'll see it better, hopefully. Now in here there's a screw with a spring on it in the end of the coil there, and you can turn that to adjust the loudness of the bell. Apparently, I mean, I assume it just the iron rod that goes up and down inside the inside there, you know, that makes it an electromagnet that attracts the actual clapper on the end, the iron rod in the middle of there. I assume this just moves it a bit. But I don't know exactly how it works. So obviously we've not plugged it in yet, because we've got cut wires on the end of its cord and stuff. But the conversion of it should be absolutely identical to a normal 706, so I'm told. So It should be that we take a link out there, we put a capacitor in there, with that link we've taken out there, we put across there, yada yada yada, and just like a normal 706, and it should work. It's very good. It's better than some of the Ericsson privately supplied phones, the N1900s, because this has at least got a coil in it here, the ASTIC coil, which is basically an induction coil for anti-side tone. So it's got one of those. Cheaply made phones don't have one. Some of the Ericsson N1900s don't have them. Some do, some don't. So it's been quite well put together. This I do rather like this phone. And as I say that, a screw falls out. From somewhere. I wonder if that's fallen out of the dial there. That's why the dial is flaky. Yes, I think it has. It's that same sort of screws in those. That's why this is wobbly. Because if I now just undo this dial for a moment, I'll turn it around to do it. It's easy from the other side. Get it more in the middle of the shot for you. If I can undo that and just lift that out, you'll see that it's all moving on this, because there is a hole down there that should have a screw in it. And it's one of those things where you need very small hands, which I haven't got. I've got little fat fingers and it's a constant pain in my life. What I would give to have skinny, nimble fingers, because you just can't do anything with little fat fingers. I'm not actually convinced that should be. Oh yeah, it should. And I just can't get that screw in that hole. Just cannot do it. This way you need a magnetic screwdriver, which I've not got to hand. Oh right, it's dropped in now, so if I can now just it's fell out again. Because the other thing is, my close vision is terrible. My eyesight is getting absolutely awful, to be honest with you. I won't be able to do this probably in 5 years. I just won't have the eyesight. Um, can't do it. I have not got the vision anymore. If you had the choice of being deaf or being blind, I would definitely choose being deaf. No idea how you're supposed to get this screw in this hole. None at all, because you can't get sort of head on to the screw, and it won't even begin to start in the hole. Oh, I haven't said that. I thought I'd got it, but no. This screw does go in this hole, doesn't it? Right, yeah, it does go in there. We've proved it goes in. Talk amongst yourselves a minute. This is going to take ages. There's the thing about these dowels. They're very good in operation. They're brilliant dowels in operation. But working on them is a real pain. As I say, this stack that seizes up, it took me hours to sort one out. Days even. Just to diagnose the problem was not easy because things are not obvious on them.
this would go in with it even slightly off centre and just cross thread in, I would do it. Because it just bloody won't go in at all. Oh, having said that, now I've sworn at it, it goes in. I must swear more often. Right, we'll tighten that up to within into its life. I don't want that coming out again. Right, and the top one. Although the top one's much easier to get at. There we go. Right, that's it. We've sorted it. I think. I hope. So that just hooks in the way a normal dial hooks in. Then you tighten it up at the top like that. Lovely. Finally, we've got there. See, it winds back very slowly. I think it wants some work doing on it. But it's there. Now, the thing about the case with these two screws in the back is that the two screws go into a plate here, and the idea is the metal bit that sticks up on the back end of the telephone chassis has to go between the metal plate and the plastic case, and there's a bit of a sort of protrusion on the inside of the plastic case there, right in the middle, and that protrusion goes down that middle slot there, between these two things that the screw sort of slot into. So you have to kind of hold the screws in with your fingers like that, hook the front under like you do a normal 706 case, and then the back end just drops down into place like that. And then you do these two up, and you have to do these up quite well because it's kind of a sandwich. The only thing holding the case on basically is the friction of the sandwich. It's not like you're actually engaging a hole in the chassis with a hole in the case. It is only that sandwich that holds it together. So do these up, and again it's a bit like doing up the strain relief on a normal domestic UK plug. Do them up evenly. And that's not on fully at the minute. That's it, it is now. There we go, we've done it, thank God. So that is sort of back together. Now what was missing out of there was I believe two little screws out of there. Is that one of them? That could be one of them. Yeah. Or at least that one fits. So I want another little screw like that. Have I got another one kicking around on the desk anywhere? Yeah, I have. There. That's that one. And these just hold the metal bit onto the chassis that the case fits onto. So these, you shouldn't need to take these two screws out. These ones, but I did because I just didn't know how to get into it initially. I couldn't remember. But that is basically how you do it. So there's your phone, minus a finger plate. But there is the a finger wheel rather. But there is the telephone. Right. Okay. What's everybody up to in the chat? Dominic says, I'll have to send some photos, but the bell in my 69 Mark 1 red 746 has stopped working. Oh, the bell stopped working, so it worked before and it suddenly stopped. Sounds like it's probably a wiring fault or a dial fault, that, Dominic. Either the dial contacts are not making contact and breaking contact when they should, so it doesn't know that the phone is sort of at rest and on hook, or it's a wiring fault, which is wholly possible. Dominic said he thinks one of the wires are pinched, so yeah, it could be a wiring fault, that, Dominic. Yeah, it says you have the latter version of phone there with the regulator. I'm not sure it is the latter version. Of course, it doesn't tell you anything underneath it at all. You know, there's no markings at all under there. But if I take this off, it's dated 1964. So I don't know if that is original or not. I would like to take this end off as well, but at the minute it's defeating me getting that end off. I need to get a jar opener or something to get that end off, because I just can't do it at the moment. But we'll get there in the end. Right, I'm just going back to the chat. Pooper Scooper says, does anybody know what type of paint they used on the back of dial bezels, dial surrounds? I have quite a few that could do with restoration. I don't know what it was. I can tell you it's certainly matte from the back of them. My guess is it's probably acrylic. And acrylic will probably work. The beauty of acrylic paint is that you can wash your brushes out and things with water, you can dilute it down with water, but when it dries waterproof, and it also dries a bit rubbery acrylic, so it's less prone to cracking and things as well. So I would say acrylic. You try using acrylic if you can get it to match. I did try a restoration on a green bezel on a phone, and unfortunately I didn't quite get the green right, but the theory worked, but I just didn't get the colour quite right. But yeah, I'd say try acrylic.
It says his phone has totally different terminals. Made by EK Cole for Pi, his ones. Yeah, these things seem to evolve, don't they? Like I say, the only date I've found on this so far is on that in the handset there, and it's 1964. But whether that's been changed or not is anybody's guess. I mean, the whole handset could even have been changed, because when you look at the back, and I've only just noticed this, when you look at the back, can you see that those are different colours? Now this curly cord hasn't gone a funny colour, it hasn't browned this curly cord, it stayed quite grey, but the line cord has done the normal thing of turning brown. So I wonder if this curly cord's been replaced. I wonder. But yeah, something might not be original there. We don't know. So has the curly cord been replaced, and if so, has the whole handset been replaced? We just don't know, unfortunately. Dominic says you can get one of those magnifier glasses on a stand with a lamp, which might help. Yeah, I don't know if it would or not, to be honest with you, Dominic. It's really annoying. I used to be able to see things really, really close up. You know, I used to be able to like paint model railway stuff and just hold it here and see it in detail, and I just can't do that now. It's hopeless. He gets this. Take a trip to options. I did, and they helped me now. 20/20 vision. Also cataracts can occur. My did, and now both eyes done. And the follow-up. Best thing I ever did. Yeah, I don't think it's cataracts that I've got. I think it's just vision from staring at tiny things for a very long time. Pooper Scoop says, is Thor the stepbrother of Odin the dog? He is indeed, Pooper Scooper. Well remembered. Yeah, well remembered. Odin has, of course, appeared on here from time to time. Yes, he is the stepbrother of Odin. Yeah. Chris says, I did the bell in GEC 746 phone, it not ring. Did the bell in GEC 746 phone, it not ring. I'm trying to put those words in the right order and I can't. If anybody can help me put Christopher's words in the right order there. Did the bell in GEC 746 phone it not ring? Are you telling me the bell in the GEC 746 is not ringing? Gosh, I've just not got a clue. The problem with bells are often related to the lack of the resistor and the ren and the amount of power going down the line not being enough to engage the bells. So if you've got a problem with the bells in the 746 not ringing, I'd say unplug everything else out of the circuit and try it by itself. Oh, Chris is put it in the right order now. It says, I've been doing the bell in my GEC 746 phone. Have you got it going then now, Christopher? Does it work now? And Miguel says, is the transmitter the top hat style as used in a 332? And also as used in candlesticks as well, believe it or not, Miguel. Same, exactly the same in the candlestick all the way through. It's a good question, and I don't know the answer because I can't get a blooming thing off. Hang on, let me use a bit more force. Get an old bit of towel or something and see if I can grip it with that. Oh, it's gone. It has gone. Right, So we'll have a look now then and see what's in it. Here we go. The answer is yes. It is. Now I think this is the same as yours, isn't it? So there it is. DRG 42977F. It says on there. So when would these date from? Because early 706s had these, later 706s didn't, it would seem. But these, you can fit these into 130 candlesticks, and I have done that in one of the candlesticks that I'm in the process of restoring. So yeah, but that's not got a date code on it, as far as I can see. Nothing on there for the date, which is a bit of a downer. But there you go. But yeah, it is pretty much exactly like yours, I think, that. Of course, with it being having discoloured the way it has, that tells me it's mid-60s onwards. Because had it been early 60s, it would probably have been a Diacon case, which wouldn't have gone this rather fetching shade of dirty pond water. Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, we need a finger wheel for it. So that's going to be my next quest, to find out what finger wheel they should have had. I think. And Christopher says yes, his phone is working now. Excellent. Let me get. So there's no date on his either. So yeah. Dominic says, I've seen an ivory phone so suntanned that it went orange. Yes, I have. I've got a handset somewhere that's so suntanned it went orange, and also sort of cracked and went crazy as well. It's like, you know, when you get a really old piece of pottery and the glaze goes crazy on it, it's gone like that. Yeah, it's a spare handset that I got ages and ages and ages ago, and I've never used it for anything because it's just so bad. But yeah, they really, really do go, some of them. They really do go. Big style. So yeah, I can imagine one turning orange, definitely. Right, okie dokie. What are we doing? How are we getting on? I need to find a place to put things now, because I've got everything on the desk again. Right, hang on. I'll put this one on the floor a minute. See, this is where my assistant should come in and help and hand things to me and stuff. But unfortunately, due to a lack of thumbs, he's not very good at handing stuff to you. Alright. Right, also, oh, here he is. Hello, Thor. Good boy. Good boy. Also, people have been asking me about this phone. This is one that came from South London in a batch of phones that appear to be from a guy. It was a guy who said he used to work for a telephone company, for a telecoms company, not necessarily telecom itself. And these were phones that he took out from various places, and a lot of them said telephone rentals on them. and this has just got a dirty sort of square on the back of it where it looks like the gum from a telephone rental sticker on the back, although the sticker's gone, but some of them have still got the stickers on. So I think all these phones are from telephone rentals, and somebody commented when I showed this a couple of weeks ago and said that dial bezel may have just been put on there and it may actually be a GPO phone. It's not a GPO phone because A, there's the remaining gum from a telephone rental sticker on the back, B, only very very early 746s from the GPO had a metal finger wheel, and they didn't have a metal finger wheel with a dial 21, which this is, because it's got a square side to the finger stop. If that finger stop was curved on both sides, it would be probably a dial 12, which early 706s came with, but this is not, because it's got a square side on it. So this is not a combination, and also if I get it in the right light you might just see it has got an original telephone rentals dial label in the middle of it as well. So this is definitely a telephone rentals phone, but it has got the wrong bezel on it. It should have obviously a red bezel on there, not a blue one. I don't know if I've got a red number only bezel in stock. I probably haven't, because the number only bezels are rare at the best of times, but this is one that's quite high on the list for restoration, so we'll probably be doing this one fairly soon. Cool. Right, I'll move that one out of the way then now. There we go. Put that one back where it came from. Also, no news on the American wall phone yet. Although we have now got some more American phones that have turned up. There's a couple of 500 series and a couple of 2500s turned up as well, that came as part of the second batch of phones that has come in recently from my travels while we've been off air. The second batch of phones that I've got is part of the collection that belonged to the late Brian Clancy, who was quite a well-known telephone enthusiast, but he tended to do more with exchanges and switchboards and stuff, and he was very interested in things like how CNET works and using computers and VoIP and stuff like that. So he got a lot of telephones, but a lot of them were quite modern, but he had got some dial phones, and most of his dial phones I bought off his family, and they are the 23 phones that arrived in the second batch of things that arrived basically while we've been off air. So over the last month or so, I think the first batch from South London, I think they came before the last episode, didn't they? But these ones that actually came from Essex have come while we've been off air. So yeah, we have got some of those. There's going to be a video about them where I'm unboxing them and showing you what there is, so watch out for that, coming quite soon, more than likely. Right. Oh, Gambo's joined us. He says, "Hey peeps, I'm alive here, but very very drunk." So only just alive then, Gambo. Have you been celebrating something? Yeah, he probably has. He's probably been celebrating, hasn't he? Yeah, bet Gambo's been celebrating. Right. Okie dokie. Right, that is almost a wrap, I feel, for today. We've almost gone through all of it. But yeah, let's say there will be a video coming up showing you those phones from Essex that have arrived, because there are some American ones amongst them, which is quite interesting, because of course we have got this American wall phone here that we're working on at the moment. But yeah, so for today, homework for today is, if anybody can find out what the finger wheel to go on one of these dials should be like, I'd be very, very interested to hear from you, because like I say, we're going to have a go at 3D printing some of these finger wheels and see if we can do that. Dominic says, are you doing anything for the coronation, Andy? Probably not. On the Sunday, I don't even know what day the actual coronation is. On the Sunday, I'm at Heege Windmill for their stationary engine tractor rally. So that's this coming Sunday. So if you're anywhere in the Derbyshire area, which I know you are, Dominic, get yourself over to Heege Windmill on Sunday from about 10 o'clock onwards, and you'll find us up there having a bit of an event up there. But that is Sunday, just only on Sunday, that one. Gambo's been watching the football, apparently. So he's probably drowning his sorrows by the sounds of it. Celtic winning. Oh, so maybe he's celebrating. Yeah. I've got muck all over the desk now. As Larry Grayson would say, look at the muck in here. Gambo says, I'll look through my parts and no red bezel with numbers for your phone. Not Tory Gambo, I'm sure we'll find one. I'm sure one will pop up somewhere along the line. Again, it's a part somebody should make, though. Those plastic bezels, somebody should make them just with the numbers printed on, so you can just paint on the back of them. It would be a good thing to have made, they would. Some with black numbers on, for like the... is it just the ivory ones that have black... Yeah, with the ivory ones and the topaz yellow ones, wouldn't it, that had black numbers on. And then all the others, I think, would have had white numbers. Or perhaps they're ivory numbers, I don't know. I think they're white, actually. I think they're all white. But yeah. But, yeah, the thing is, bits turn up that what I find I end up doing is I buy parts when I see parts, even if I don't need them. And then put them away somewhere, and then 2 or 3 years down the line I'll use them for something. But the trouble is, with my filing system, by the time I need to use the part for something, I've forgotten where I've put it, or it's in a box somewhere that's got to the bottom of a pile. so my parts inventory is not as good as it should be, but that is entirely my fault. Yeah, I do need to get a better handle on that. I really do. But yeah, you have to buy bits when you can. Like, for instance, when I was working on a lawnmower a few weeks ago, I needed to get the flywheel off an engine on a lawnmower, and turns out I needed some special size bolts to do it. So I had to send off to get some special size bolts here to get this flywheel off, because you have to sort of wind these bolts into holes in the flywheel to push them off for a, I think it's a Suffolk Punch lawnmower. So yeah, but we've been doing all sorts of strange things. Another thing that I got that I'm really liking, actually. I got 3 of them because it was cheaper to buy them as 3s, is these. This is sometimes called a bow pen, sometimes called a lining pen, sometimes called a rule pen. The Americans seem to call them rule pens. And you can still buy these new, and it's gobsmacking that you can buy them new. And what these are is a little thing that will hold either ink or paint. If I can get you a close shot of it, it's a little thing that's adjustable, you see, so you can wind the tips of it open or closed to make a different sized line. And the idea is dip it in ink or in paint, and you can do like lining with it. And this is just a revelation. I've known about these things for years and never tried one. And these are only cheap ones. I mean, you can get much better ones that are better quality and so do a better line, but these are alright. But you do have to kind of dress the ends up a bit to make them pointy and make both tips the same length, so you do have to do a little bit of filing to dress the ends up on them. But they are unbelievably good. I can't remember if I showed you this before or not, but if I get a bit of scrap paper, I'll show you this, because it came as a bit of a revelation to me. So what you do, you get either paint or ink. I'll do it with ink because it's slightly less messy with ink than with paint. And you just drop them in the ink, and what happens is those two things at the end sort of retain a bit of ink between them. Do you see? So when you put it onto a piece of paper, you can draw a line. Now this is paper it's soaking into, and I'm drawing a very thick line there, so it's not a very fair test. If I make it a much narrower thing, you see, it draws a line. I've yet to try it for lining out model railway stuff like carriages and that, but I've a sneaking suspicion it's going to be quite good. You can even do a sort of wavy line with it, and if you turn the pen around in your hand you can more or less do a complete circle if your pen didn't run out before you get all the way around. But draftsmen used to use these, and it's just amazing how good it is. I am so impressed with this, and they're not expensive. I think it cost me about a tenner for 3 on either eBay or Amazon. So yeah, look for them. Look for look under rule pen or ruling pen, because they are rather good. And I have lined out a single sewing machine with one, because I repainted the singer sewing machine black, you know, one of the old black singer sewing machines. And I got some gold Humbrol paint, and model makers will be familiar with Humbrol paint. I got some gold Humbrol paint and put in this, and just went round the bed of the machine with it, and it's really good. So yeah, rule pen. If you're doing anything like that, I can definitely recommend them. Although, as I say, you do have to dress the ends to make these cheap pens work. So yeah, I can definitely recommend those. Right, before we go, what's everybody up to in the chat? Miguel says, those pens have been about for donkey's years, even when in school. Yeah, I agree, Miguel, they have. Yeah, when you look up about them, yeah, they've been around for as long as they've been pens, basically. Yeah, probably well over 100 years they've been around. Like I say, draftspeople used to use them. Fat Hobbit says, you're very good at drawing straight lines, Andy. Yes, Fat Hobbit, it's because I can't see them, you see. I just dragged my hand across the thing. I'm actually not bad at drawing straight lines. It's because I do some sign writing and stuff like that, and coach painting and stuff like that. Don't do as much as I would like, but I do that. So it's all to do with how you move your arm and moving your whole body and not just your hands, sort of thing. That's the trick to it. Dominic says, I'm tempted to get one if I ever get into pre-grouping modelling. Yeah, it's very good, Dominic. They are very good. If anything, they work better with paint than they do with ink. Fat Hobbit says, do you use a rigger brush, Andy? When I'm doing the coach painting, I was taught to coach paint by a guy. I have a horrible feeling he's probably passed away now, because he was an elderly chap when I knew him. In fact, he retired in the time that I knew him. A guy called Carl, who used to paint the trams at Cryche. And he basically told me that there's a lot of nonsense about coach painting and lining. And he said, for instance, for coach painting, he said, all you have to do is you have to have very good coach enamel, which is just any good enamel paint. He says it doesn't have to say coach enamel on the tin, any good enamel paint will do. And he said a good example of a good enamel paint, he said, is Dulux Weather Shield. So I promptly went out and bought a tin of red Dulux Weather Shield and painted my first car, which was a Volkswagen Beetle, and it looked fine. And he also said, paint as fast as you can, don't go back. If you see something wrong in the bit you've done, don't go back and touch it up, because you'll make a bigger mess. He says paint as fast as you can and just keep going, and keep the leading edge of your work wet, he said, and you'll just simply not go wrong. He says, and use a bigger brush as possible. And he just used a fairly fine haired but bog standard 6-inch paintbrush. Now, it wasn't one of these modern ones that have got like the split ends. It was what I would call a normal paintbrush. If you go into like Wilko's or B&Q's, you see most paintbrushes these days have got like split ends, in theory, to make the tips of the bristles finer, and they don't work. So it was just a normal, reasonably high quality, but nothing mega special brush, a 6-inch brush, and you just sort of put it on up and down like that, and side to side like that, and then down, 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 move on to the next panel, and that is what you do. And I've painted various things. Like I say, I painted this car. The first thing I ever did, it was a Volkswagen Beetle car, an old shaped Beetle, because when I got it, somebody had painted it with what looked like emulsion paint, and ordinary cellulose car paint reacted with it and all bubbled up and blistered. And I said to Carl, what should I paint this with? And this is what prompted the conversation. And he said to me, well, just do it with ordinary enamel paint, he said, and Dulux Weather Shield's as good as anything. So I got this tin of Parade Red Dulux Weather Shield paint, painted this car, and when I did it, it looked terrible. You know, the moment I'd done it, it looked terrible. There were all sorts of brush marks in it and lines in it. Weren't any runs in it, but there were lines in it from the brush marks and that. And I thought, this won't do. I thought, when this dries, I'm going to have to rub all this down and start again. So I left it overnight to dry, and when I went out in all readiness to rub it down the following morning, as it had dried, it had all pulled out and all the brush marks had gone, and you could literally see your face in the paintwork. It was a brilliant finish, absolutely brilliant, and all that was Dulux Weather Shield paint. It wasn't expensive coach enamel, it was Dulux Weather Shield. And nobody ever believed me when they saw that car. Nobody ever believed me it was painted with Dulux Weather Shield, but I assure you it was. But with rigger brushes and things like that, there's all sorts of different artist brushes with all sorts of different names. I mean, a rigger is basically just a long sort of flat-ended one, isn't it? But you just use what you think is right. At least I do. I just you know, if I need to get into a tight corner, use a tiny brush. If you don't need to get into a tight corner, use a big brush, and that. But when I coach paint, I don't do a letter the width of the brush. If I'm doing a letter that's like an inch wide, let's say I'm doing a letter T, and the bars of the T are an inch wide, what I would tend to do is maybe use a 1/4 inch brush and do the outlines of the T first and then fill it in, and that's the way to do it. Fat Hobbit says these rigger brushes are brilliant for sign writing. Yeah, they are. They are. But again, you need a number of different sizes of them. But I think I'm right in saying, I'm not an expert on this, I think I'm right in saying the term rigger refers to the shape of the bristles, doesn't it? And a rigger brush is a sort of long, flat one. That it's an artist term really for artist brushes, because they have riggers and fans and all sorts of stuff like that. Christopher says, I got a new HO model loco for my model railway, a B1 class loco, BL32, or a BL class loco probably, BL32. Going back to the phone transmitters, and I said, when did they change? Pooper Scooper says around late 1964 or early 1965 those transmitters changed. Right, well that would make sense then for this phone being mid 1960s perhaps, although with stuff that was being supplied to private installations by private companies, they may have used up old stock. So they might have used those transmitters later and supplying them to private individuals just to get rid of them, because that did happen. And that, I think that's probably why you find in a lot of like Ericsson N1900 phones, you find parts that are actually marked GPO inside them. But Pooper says those transmitters were definitely gone by 1965. So, all interesting stuff. What on earth is going on in there? I just need to make sure my furry assistant isn't dismantling the house. Just a moment. Oh no, my furry assistant is definitely not dismantling the house, because he's laid just around the corner from where I am, absolutely flat out on the floor, having a snooze, which is not a bad idea. I might join him in the having a snooze thing in a minute. But yeah, so yeah, that's what you can do with one of these binary pens. Forget about this bit here, because that's just where it soaked into the paper, because I was using the wrong thing on the wrong paper, basically. But yeah. Okie dokie. Right, I think that is probably about as far as we go for today. Thanks to everybody for watching and taking part even in the old chat there again. We will be back next week around about the same time, same place. May possibly be a tad later, as I say, because I'm out at Hedge Windmill for the afternoon, for the morning and afternoon and that. So it might be a little bit later on next week, but we'll try and get here for 6:30. So we'll try our best, so won't we, Thor? Yeah, good boy, Thor. Yeah, we'll try our best to be here for 6:30. Yeah, watch out for other videos. There is at least one uploaded already to YouTube that I just need to go through and then set it to public. So watch out for that. Also, before we go, I must just give you an update on the radio station. The radio station, PVR, based in the mill at Plesley Vale, is almost ready to go on air. But we are going to be starting a major fundraiser, because there are two things stopping us from going there at the minute. One, the licensing for the music and that costs a lot of money, and you don't want to pay for the licensing before you go on air. The licensing is around about £350 to £400 per year. So you don't want to pay that until you have to, when you're about to go on air. And then when we go on air, to keep us on air, you're talking about somewhere between £50 and £100 a month just to pay the electricity bill. Because obviously everything has to stay switched on all the time. So we are going to be starting a fairly major fundraiser to support PVR, the online radio station. We'll be telling you more about it next week, but we are going to be starting a fundraiser to kind of boost the funds for that a bit. And you can either be a supporter or even buy advertising space on the station if you want to. We'll tell you more about it next week and how you can support us through Ko-Fi for that. But yeah, we'll get back to that next week. If you want to have a little look at the temporary website for PVR, go to pvrbroadcasting.com, and that should take you to the website. That's pvrbroadcasting.com, and that should direct you along to the temporary website if you want to have a look at that. But I will tell you more about the radio station fundraiser when we come back here next week. Right, that really is about it from me for now. Before I go, I have to do the standard YouTube thing of saying, if you've enjoyed this, please give it a like, and if you're not subscribed already, do the old subscription thing as well, and also make sure you hit that bell so you know when we upload stuff in the future. If you're watching on Library, I'm sure there are similar things you can do on Library as well. But thanks to everybody for taking part today. We will be back same time-ish and same place next week for another edition of Andy's Shed Live. But for me, for now, remember you can always join our you can always join our forum at gpotelephones.proboards.com, and you can also join us on Patreon and become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/Andy's Shed. But from me for now, have a fantastic week ahead, and I will see you same time, same place next week. Bye for now, everybody.